Hello everybody and welcome to another Nephilim Builds. It's Pride Month and we're celebrating by making various LGBTQIA+ characters in media because fuck the entire right wing. Today we're going to reclaim the land of Wano as Kikunojo from One Piece. As always, keep in mind that these videos are about capturing the spirit of the character rather than capturing their abilities perfectly. With that said, let me tell you a story. So 2 years ago I was prepping for Pride Month and I wanted to add a trans man to that year's roster. As you might imagine, trans men are harder to find in fiction than trans women, especially battle-ready trans men. Luckily, I learned about Yamato. Now the furthest I'd ever gotten into One Piece back in the Toonami days before we quit paying for satellite was Alabasta. No way was I gonna catch up, and when I saw when the Wano arc started as opposed to when Yamato first showed up, I said fuck that and skipped straight to my boy. But because of that, I had no idea that Kiku was trans. And unlike with Yamato, there didn't seem to be any real discourse around whether or not she was. So let's address that. It's pretty clear why there's no argument about Kiku being trans. She looks like a woman. Again, I started at the ass end of this arc, but unless I'm mistaken, we're actually introduced to Kiku as she currently looks. Then you have Yamato with some of the biggest knockers in the series and seemingly no inclination to hide them. He looks like an incredibly hot woman. And because certain people either don't understand that presentation isn't identity, or don't want to admit they find any man hot, we have arguments over his identity. But actually, there's more to it than that. First, some people apparently can't understand why fans were so insistent on claiming Yamato as trans when we already had Kiku. I'm sorry, is there a limit? Are we only allowed to have so much representation? Second, some people have implied that Yamato was bad trans representation while Kiku was good representation. Why? Because Kiku actually looks and presents as the gender she identifies with and Yamato doesn't? Don't get me wrong, Kiku is goals, but there is more than one way to do good representation. There are a lot of trans people, myself included, who can't medically transition for any number of reasons. A lot of us, again myself included, don't even feel safe publicly presenting as our true genders with the current political climate. And then there are some trans people who are actually comfortable with their bodies and don't feel the need to transition, which ironically makes them doubt their own trans identity. This is why Yamato is important. He reminds us that the whole point of being trans is that our bodies don't define us. How we present doesn't define us. Hell, cis men can be feminine, why not trans men? If Yamato rocking out with his tits out inspires some trans boy to embrace himself regardless of how he looks or how he might be forced to present, then Yamato is good representation. Lastly, some people have said that Yamato didn't want to be a man, he wanted to be Odin, and that if Odin were a woman, then he'd want to be a woman like Odin, and that he actually thinks he's Odin because he's crazy because of trauma and... no. Yamato's not crazy, he's stupid. He acts like he is Odin because he thinks that's the best way to emulate him. That is the gag. But even before the gag begins, Yamato introduces himself as Yamato, Kaido's son. Not Odin, Yamato. Both in English and Japanese, both with male pronouns. And no, I don't care what Oda says, I care about what Yamato says. Anything an author says is only true until their work directly contradicts them. And if Yamato comes back claiming to be a woman, then that will be a clear-cut case of character assassination. Sorry for spending the first however many minutes this has been in a Kikunojo video talking about Yamato. To be fair, it was all still tangentially related. Either way, time to get to what you're actually here for, starting with ability scores. Using the standpoint where I put the 15 of strength. We've got some multi-class and armor requirements to cover, so no dex-based katana. Suck it, weebs. Next we'll make Charisma 14, Kiku's an absolute sweetheart. Out of that we'll put the 13 in Constitution, this woman lost an arm and still kept going. We'll put the 12 into Dexterity and then the 10 to Intelligence. Lastly we'll dump Wisdom. I know Conjurer was an old friend, but when someone tells you who they are and what they're about, believe them and drop that asshole. America. For species, we're going to go with Human. We'll get Resourceful, pick History, and take the Magic Initiate Wizard feat. We'll take Prestidigitation for effects, True Strike for armament hockey, and Magic Missile for Zansetsu-gama. It's been 2 years so I don't remember this attack, but the wiki describes it as multiple projectiles. We'll make a custom background putting our increases into Strength, Charisma, and Constitution. We'll take Survival and Perception, the Herbalism Kit for Aromatherapy, and the Lord's Alliance Agent feat. Moving on to class, we're going to start off as a fighter. We get Strength and Constitution saving throws, pick Athletics and Acrobatics for skills, and be proficient with all weapons, armor, and shields. At level 1, we'll get Second Wind in our fighting style, taking Great Weapon Fighting. We'll also get Weapon Mastery, taking the Longsword. At level 2, we'll get Action Surge and Tactical Mind, and level 3, we'll get our Martial Archetype. We're obviously going to get the Samurai, getting Fighting Spirit and Persuasion. At level 4, we'll take the Lordly Resolve feat, bumping Strength. We're now going to multi-class the Paladin, getting Lay on Hands and 2 spells. We'll take Divine Favor for more hockey and Compel Duel to 1v1 a bitch. But not Kaido, jump that fucker. At level 2, we'll get Paladin Smite and another fighting style, taking Blind Fighting for Observation Hockey. We'll also take Detect Evil and Good for more Observation Hockey. At level 3, we'll get Channel Divinity and our Sacred Oath. We'll take the Oath of Glory, getting Inspiring Smite and Peerless Athlete. I thought about taking Devotion, but Glory is thematically close enough and it's just better. We'll also get Guiding Bolt and Heroism from our Oath versus another Zansetsu-gama, and take Shield of Faith for AC. At level 4, we'll take the Slasher feat, Rounding Strength, and take Detect Magic for even more Observation Hockey. At level 5, we'll get Extra Attack and Faithful Steed, which we'll ignore. We'll also get Enhance Ability and Magic Weapon from our Oath. Buff with Magic Weapon and Divine Favor, attack with True Strike, and cap it with Divine Smite for Zansetsu-ken. We'll also take Aid for more HP. Back to fighter, at level 5 we'll get Tactical Shift, and at level 6 we'll raise our Charisma. At level 7 we'll get Elegant Courtier, which is actually kind of a nerf with our Negative Wisdom mod. At level 8 we'll cap our Strength, and at level 9 we'll get Indomitable and Tactical Master. At level 10 we'll get Tireless Spirit, at level 11 we'll get another Extra Attack, and at level 12 we'll raise our Charisma. At level 13 we'll get Studied Attacks and another Indomitable, and at level 14 we'll take the Boon of Spell Recall, capping Charisma. Lastly, at level 15 we'll get Rapid Strike. More chances to hit means more chances to crit. I will still die on that hill. Now that we're level 20, we finally have our modifiers. Our AC with Splint Mail is 17, our wound speed is 30, and our average HP is 164 with 20 D10 hit dice. And with that, we are done. Now what can this build do? To start, we're a solid melee build with plenty of magical damage on multiple attacks. We're also able to reliably generate advantage, which we can turn into even more attacks. Plus our free wisdom save proficiency means our dumped wisdom isn't much of a weakness. For weaknesses we do have, we've got an incredibly limited amount of spell slots, with one of each level immediately going into buffs. So if our spell recall doesn't go off, we're fucked. We're also one paladin level shy of a +5 to all of our saving throws, which is unfortunate. I just didn't want to pick another spell. Paladins still have a limited spell list. Weaknesses aside, the wounds this one's katana leaves do not vanish in the afterlife. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, there's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Patrons get 2-day early access to my videos, access to any exclusive content, and access to my Discord. All tiers are equal, pay as much as you want. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments, and I'll see you all next time when I make Apollo and the Midnighter from Wildstorm Comics. Right direction.